This is The Stash, and you're listening to the Business Bottom Line podcast, coming to you from the Jewel City of the Mountains, Greenville, Tennessee. We're in the foothills of the Smokies, talking business with people just like you who are responsible for the bottom line, sharing business tips to inspire, inform, and improve, and turn your bottom line from red to black. And our guest today is Mr. Wes Gainey with Farmers Mutual Insurance. Family work, maybe a little bit of history, because Mr. Wes has been with Farmers Mutual for, what is it, about 13 years now? Is that right?
Correct.
Wow, okay. And for almost the last year or more than the last year, he's been the man with the plan, the president. Does that include CEO or?
Yes, we call it general manager. Same difference, yeah.
That's what I thought. In other words, you're driving the vehicle.
We're not big on titles around here.
You just get all the work done. That's the bottom line, right?
Friday mornings, I bring the trash back out from the curb.
I gotcha. Whatever's needed, that's what you do.
That's right.
That's when you're over a team. You are supporting the cast, as it were.
Well, you know as well as anybody, don't you?
Yes. I was telling someone the other day about my first entrance into store management years ago. And my first store started with sweeping the parking lot at 6 o'clock in the morning before anybody got there, and then moving on in from there. So, yeah, I know about that.
That's right.
And we'll talk some more about history, but I do want to put this in the start of the conversation because your background is quite different than most people would think. And I happen to know that Mr. Wes is a graduate of Notre Dame University. Am I correct?
That is correct. Yes.
And so the beginning of careers has taken him a long road around. So I have a few questions I'm going to ask, and the first one's just a silly question: are you an Android or iPhone guy?
iPhone.
Okay. Now, do you have a reason for that?
Well, why does any baby boomer use one or the other? It's because their kids or their grandkids are using it first and showed them how to use it. So.
That's right. If you want to stay connected to your grandkids, you have to know how to do that, right?
Yeah, so if they were using Android, I'd be an Android.
It's that simple.
It really is that simple, yes.
Well, speaking of family and grandkids, tell us a little bit about your family, Wes.
Wow, wonderful family. They all live in this area. All our immediate family. My wife and best friend Rose. We've been married 37 years, coming up on 37 years.
Wow.
And she stays by me in spite of myself, and my biggest supporter and my biggest critic at the same time. So, Rose.
In the best possible way. The critic part in the best possible way makes you a better person.
Well, true. I remember early, before I even got in the insurance industry, but I was a supervisor. I had been a person I supervised got upset at me, and she was telling me all these things about me that I did and didn't do, and I went home and I said, Rose, you're not going to believe what this person said. She said this, that, and this, and I said, can you believe it? And Rose looked at me and just very as supportive as she could be, and she says, well, hon, let me tell you. And I guess that was my, kind of that wake-up call.
Yeah.
the way we see ourselves often is not the way others see us, and
So true.
try to be, guard ourselves, I guess, and how we
Right.
talk or act toward others. So
It's so true.
that was helpful.
And how thankful are we to have a mate that will be honest with us when we need to hear it but may not want to?
Right. And you won't be surprised that Rose is has her master's in family therapy and is a therapist that works with children who have been abused in some way. She works for a child advocacy center in Sevier County, so she has, a very underappreciated, but probably one of the more important jobs of anybody working with children. And so,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, what a
she's
wonderful thing.
She's also a wonderful mom, and we have three children. And, two of those children are married. Our oldest, Megan, is followed Rose in in that career path and works with kids works with Norris Academy for works with autistic children, and she and her husband have a daughter, and our granddaughter, and then Kristen works for Johnson University in the finance department, and she's married to Knox County Deputy Sheriff and National Guardsman, and they gave us our first grandchildren, Olivia, who's 4, and Jimmy Zeke. I call him Jimmy Zeke because we have way too many Jimmys or Jameses in our family. And no offense to the name, but I call him Jimmy Zeke to distinguish. He's a year old, and then our youngest Matt is he is an entertainer and a motivational speaker.
Oh, wow.
When COVID subsides and they open up, he travels around the Southeast and speaks at schools and is doing all of that online right now.
Sure.
Including in the United Kingdom and New Zealand and Australia.
Wow, that is just fantastic. What a family. So you've got 3 grandchildren already? Is that right?
3 grandchildren.
Okay.
Yep. Love them.
Oh, they are the best. You just spoil them and send them home, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's exactly right. There was a time they were living with us, and that we couldn't quite do that. So, but now we can.
Oh, okay. You're in a good place then. You're in a good place.
The son-in-law that's in the National Guard had orders to Afghanistan. So.
Oh, wow. Is he still there? Is he back now, or?
No, he's back. He's
okay.
back.
Well, I was hoping he wasn't still.
Everything's good
in
there.
That mess. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, tell me.
So that's us.
Well, wonderful. What a great family. So I always like to bring that into conversation because we so often just focus on business. And, for any of us that's in business, we realize that family is what gives us the foundation to do what we do. And it's so important.
Right.
Yeah. So tell me, have you got a favorite book or something that you've read lately that stands out as what you would say this is a great book? Doesn't have to be a recommendation, but just something that's a favorite of yours or something you've read that really affected you. Sure.
Well, I guess I'll answer it this way. We're actually as a management team going through a book right now. And we meet together once a month to discuss it. And the book is entitled Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. And we're almost finishing it up, so we're looking at our next book. But this has been a good, just a wonderful exercise for us to do as a management team. It really fits in with the kind of organization that we strive to be, want to be. I guess the thing that got my attention about the book was the idea that leaders eat last, and part of it we joke in that not joke, but our chairman of the board, Gordo Watson, anytime we have a function, he kind of races to the back of the line and makes sure everybody else gets through, and sometimes is behind the counter helping serve, and it always made an impression on me, and it reminded me of the days when I was in the military myself, that it seemed like those who were the leaders kind of they let the enlisted folks go through and eat first, and so that's what caught my attention about it.
Sure.
And it really just talks about that, a company's biggest strength is its people, not its products or its service, but its people, and in order to get that, you've got to build a circle of trust and inspire loyalty with your employees first, and then that'll then expand to customers. So we've really enjoyed the book. We're excited about looking to the next book that will go to. So that's one we're currently reading.
Oh, that's great. It sounds like it's illustrative of the biblical principle, and I know these are close to you, but servant leader, that principle that Jesus gave, that's our position. And if we want to have maximum influence in life, whether it's in business or family, wherever, that's the position we should be in.
Well, and I agree with that. That's absolutely was my thought too, servant leader. I don't know that this author is Christian, but you know what? There are Christian principles that are universal.
Oh, absolutely.
And servant leadership that is exemplified for us through Christ, that's universal.
Yeah. I call those God principles. It don't matter whether you believe or not; they just are.
That's right. I mean, it doesn't matter, and most of my, as far as my, I guess, favorite authors or favorite books in the past, I'm thinking through my head they would be mostly Christian authors, but whether they're fiction or nonfiction books, when nonfiction, I think of the one that was really foundational for me in my early faith as a Christian was, outside of the Bible, of course, would have been a book called More Than a Carpenter. Does that ring a bell for you?
I'm familiar with that title, but I'm not sure I've read that book, but I am familiar with the title.
It was by Josh McDowell.
Oh, Josh McDowell. That's probably why, because I read a lot of his stuff years ago. Yeah.
As an early Christian, I was very much a skeptic, and so this was a book that he just put it forth very logically. The evidence, and another one of his books is Evidence That Demands a Verdict. But
yes,
put it very simply. In fact, that was a book probably I've bought more of those books in my lifetime than any one book, and have just given them out to people.
Right.
So those are, that would be, I guess that's one that has always stood out in my mind as one everybody should read.
Right. Well, just that brief conversation tells me you're a reader, and I'm a reader, and I think it's such a good thing to expand your knowledge and view of life when you read, and sometimes you need to read things that are counter to how you think to be able to respond to the challenge of sometimes I haven't always thought the right way, so having someone challenge how I think is a good growth project.
I definitely agree with that. And at the time, reading that book I don't know who suggested it to me, but it was not something that I thought I wanted to read. But once I did, it made me think.
Sure.
And if a book makes you think,
it's good.
Even if it doesn't agree with you, with what you're.
That's right. That's right.
It's kind of like going to church and the sermon. You just, and unfortunately, I've been to too many of those sermons where the preacher makes me really mad, you know. And I realized that the reason it makes me really mad is because I needed to hear that. So.
Yeah. It was that was the scripture talking more than he was. So.
Oh yeah.
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 Well, tell me now. I know you work a lot, but do you have any hobbies? If you aren't working or you didn't have to work, what would you be spending your time doing?
Well, hobbies to speak of, I can't say. I do love to go up into the mountains and hike, and do that as often as I can. I do really enjoy that. We enjoy traveling, whether it's just taking a road trip in the area. There's so much to do. Of course, I'm in Knoxville, and we're in East Tennessee. We're in a beautiful part of not only the state but the country.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things to do if you just think about it. And so we try to make weekend trips when we can. Our kids used to laugh that we never took family vacations. We always took learning trips because we would go to we'd go to historic places. We've been to Mount Vernon and Monticello, and even just wherever, Truman's house in Independence, Missouri. So the kids used to joke about that, but I think they appreciate it and value those times.
Probably more so now as memories than they did at the moment, maybe. But
oh sure, yeah. And so there's something about actually being there. I do love history, and that's another thing. As far as books go, is if I can read a history book or a biography, I kind of prefer those over a fiction book most times.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That's kind of what appeals to me as well. So let's talk a little bit about what it's like being Wes Gainey. Now, I want you to give us a little bit of history before insurance, because I was looking at your what you did in college in your degree, and it said international studies. So give us a glimpse before the insurance, and I know there's some things even beyond Farmers Mutual that related to insurance in a different way. So give us a little bit of history and what it kind of looks like being you now. Started off with that.
Yeah. So I did study government and international relations.
Okay.
I used to joke that I didn't understand what they meant by international relations. So it was something different than I thought. Of course, being a young guy at the time, but I guess I had those thoughts that I was going to go into law or something like that, and that would be a good springboard. But after 4 years of college, I didn't have an interest to go on, and decided to join. Actually, before I decided to join the Marine Corps, I taught elementary school for a year.
Now, I didn't know that. That's a new one on me. So.
No, I don't tell a lot of people about that. It's kind of embarrassing that the kids were so tough on me. I decided to join the Marine Corps instead. So, which is true. I did join the Marine Corps. I had wanted to go through officer candidate school, but I just didn't get accepted, and decided to go the enlisted route as a college graduate, which set me up for good promotions in the enlisted ranks, and got accepted to officer candidate school, and not too long after that was in a military. We were out doing some training and was in an accident and got 3 herniated discs. So that kind of short-circuited my my Marine Corps career, which by the way, I really loved. I enjoyed that time in my life very much, and may have made it a career. But God had other plans for me, and ended up moving back to Indianapolis, which was our hometown, and looking for something that I could apply my government and international relations, and thought maybe I'll be a lobbyist or something. So I started looking at associations and landed, never did do the lobbying part, but I ended up, they saw teacher on my resume and said, oh, how about if you be, we need a director of education for the Apartment Association of Indiana. I said, yeah, sure, I can do that. And that began my love affair with the association management field. And I did that for 20 years. Ended up at the National Association of Mutual Insurance Companies, a national association of about 1,700 companies worldwide. And that was the beginning of my love affair with the mutual insurance industry. And my first day on the job, they asked me to sit in on one of the board meetings, and I remember the chairman of the board, who happened to be the president and CEO of Brotherhood Mutual. He opened the meeting and he said, before we conduct business, let's bow our heads and pray. And I thought, wow, that's impressive. Here's this board of directors for this association, and they happen to be the heads of many of the of mutual insurance companies that we would recognize their names. Wow. These are household names, and I thought, wow, this is impressive. And one of the books, there was a book that happened to be that was left for me that was from the previous person, and it was the book was entitled, and I've kept it with me all these years. It's called Bear Ye One Another's Burdens. And it's based on Galatians. And it's the story of the mutual insurance industry and this one particular company in particular, but it could apply to any company. And that was just another thing that just, wow, this is impressive. The whole philosophy of mutual insurance, neighbor helping neighbor. Helping each other out, and that's how a lot of the mutual insurance companies got started, including the first in America. I don't know if you know this, Bill, but the first mutual insurance company was founded by Benjamin Franklin in 1752.
Yes, I remember. I didn't remember the year, but I knew it was Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah, and it was kind of a spin-off of the volunteer fire departments. And that company that he founded or helped found is still in existence today, and it's called the Philadelphia Contribution Ship. And so I love to talk about the mutual insurance industry, and I love to talk about our company,
right?
Because I think it's such it is a wonderful industry, and we do. I believe we as an industry do good things for a lot of people.
Yes, absolutely. I was thinking about that recently when all of the continuing catastrophic events have been happening, and how little reporting or discussion there is in the public of the insurance role in that, and what it would look like if there were no insurance companies to come behind those catastrophic events to help restore people's possessions.
Right.
And I just got to thinking about that. Thought, wow, we are part of something that's so much bigger than any one of us, and that's so foundational to the livelihood of our country. And makes me proud to be part of it in just the way I am.
Oh, I agree. I'm right there with you, and we try to instill that in our folks here at our company. We've been around since 1913, and we've grown each year. And
Right.
we started out as a small county mutual. We were started by about 100 farmers.
That's what I was going to say. I remember that because I was there.
You were there 100 years ago?
Well, no. Now wait a minute. I was there at the 100th anniversary celebration. Let me get that
That's
straight
right.
now. So that was special.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
Yeah.
And we're very proud of that, and we're very proud of those roots. And
Mm-hmm.
it just very basic. You got 100 farmers that couldn't find property insurance anywhere. And they couldn't get it from the bigger carriers at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and so they decided to band together, I guess, is the way you say it, and form their own company, and they each put in money into the pot, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skin in
said,
the game.
Okay, if the wind knocks your house down, then we'll use this kitty to help rebuild it, and then
Yeah. It's a wonderful concept, and it works today just as well as it did in the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah. So with that company place where you are, what do you see as some of the biggest challenges going forward? Is it people? Is it technology? Is it competitors? What's in front of you? I know you think about this all the time. But what's your perspective on that?
Well, the perspective is every industry is going to have its challenges. We have our challenges just as much as anybody. I think you're a small business. We're a smaller insurance company. And I think for us, it's being a small company. It's scalability, trying to compete with the big companies.
Mm-hmm.
We can't just drop $1 million or $2 million on technology, or however much on technology. I mean, we don't have those resources, so we have to be more creative, and it all comes down to scalability. But interestingly enough, so I used to work for NAMIC. NAMIC is a great organization. They recently published a public policy paper, and interestingly, what caught our attention about this was these were things, when we get together as a board, we talk about these challenges, and frankly, it won't surprise anyone, but NAMIC's public policy, or their studies, or their interviews, how they collected this information from various companies. But we share all of these stressors, I guess, with other companies, whether it's the biggest being State Farm, auto owners, that to the smallest company. But it would be one stressor on the industry is inflation. Okay, no surprise there,
Sure.
Right? Another stressor on insurance companies is the recession. How it affects our surplus and that we maintain to help pay for future claims. The big thing, and this is becoming bigger and bigger every year, as no surprise, but it's cyber attacks.
Yes.
That's something we're very conscious of. Another thing, this may surprise some listeners, is that insurance companies buy insurance. We call it reinsurance.
Yes.
And that helps in those rough times, helps keep us afloat. So one of the things about the reinsurance market, it's really tightening up, and it's hard to find affordable reinsurance. So that's a fourth stressor they pointed out. And then the fifth one, and no surprise here, is severe convective storms.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we read this right after December 10th, and of course we know what happened out in West Tennessee.
Right.
But I am noticing, and I am noticing. I think we all notice that climate is changing, whether it's as some would say man-made, but
Mm-hmm.
I would say that it's just an historical thing, would be my personal belief. But weather patterns are changing.
Right.
There's no doubt about that.
No, that's right.
And it's impacting us as a company.
Yes.
Primarily out in West and Middle Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, those things are there. If you're in the industry, like you say, they're not as surprising to all of us because everyone's talking about them and in some degree dealing with all those major stress factors on the industry as a whole. And then whatever part we play, we feel the effects of them for sure.
Right. And I'm not trying to make light. I know this doesn't just affect our industry alone. We're not an island in that, because the families are dealing with it too.
Yes.
Individual families.
Yes.
Other businesses are dealing with it. Individual and independent insurance agents are dealing with it. Restaurants, I saw we just had another restaurant close because they just can't. It's just hard.
Right. Right.
And so it's how do you. And I guess the thing that keeps me up, I guess, and I know that's not what you asked, but it's related. It's a challenge. Is the people we're trying to help, they're struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So many of them are struggling.
Yes.
And and so we don't take for example, a rate increase lightly. It's not because we're trying to pad our pockets.
Right.
We're trying to maintain stability and financial stability of a company so that it'll be there for everybody.
Right.
And so
right.
but it's no different than what other businesses
Yeah.
have to deal with. I mean, we're dealing with the same thing.
That is true. There's a lot of commonality there across the spectrum of what it takes to keep the economy moving. And it's, I think, if anything, more complex today than it was in prior periods of time. Certainly not any less complex, for sure. And
Sure.
but the one thing, and I hear this in your voice, and I know from just following you and your leadership, you are a positive person, and you're a hopeful person, and those two traits are important, I think, when you lead an organization, because there are lots of stressors, there are lots of challenges, but how you approach those is instructed, or it's put on a track by your general thinking, and I think that's important.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I do appreciate that, but I think you also recognize it, not only in me, but you probably recognized it in Gordo before me.
Yes.
But also you recognize it in our staff as well.
Yeah, in your team, it comes through. It really does.
And we got together this summer and did our strategic plan, and I was so proud of our team. And they came up with core values, and after it was all finalized and it was all decided, and I had very, very little input, direct input, I should say, in this. Mm-hmm. I was so proud of what they came up with as our company's core values. Mm-hmm. And if you don't mind, I'd like to share those.
That would be great. That would be great.
we call our core values, we call it, and you know this, as our tagline is shared purpose, mutual values.
Mm-hmm.
But the first core value is family, and that family is, we think very broadly when we think of family.
Mm-hmm.
That's our employees and co-workers, customers, agents, vendors, and our community. We care and respect them. Okay. Integrity is the second one, and that's just like it says. It's more than honesty, but it's being very transparent and saying doing what you say you're going to do.
Right.
Values and holding true to our values and statements. The third one is service, and that's approaching interactions with our FMT family with an attitude of positive appreciation and patience, and a willingness to go the extra mile in assisting one another. And then stability. Two things here is kind of one is that idea of remaining calm under challenging circumstances.
Yes.
Okay. Because we deal with a lot of challenges, right? And but it's also being good stewards.
Mm-hmm.
This is on our company. No one owns Farmers Mutual of Tennessee. No one person. That's the whole idea behind a mutual.
Right.
Is it's owned by the policyholder. So we're here for just a short time, and we need to be good financial stewards and leave it in a better condition than what we got it. So stability is very important, but that takes two different tones. It's financial stability, but just being the type of person that I have a saying that it's on my wall that it's a reminder to me. It's not for anybody else, but it's for me, is to develop an attitude independent of your circumstances. And of course, great. The idea is you have a positive attitude.
Yes.
And maintain that. And my wife likes to say, be a thermostat and not a thermometer.
There you go. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Well, I always that's a wonderful place to kind of wrap up, and I've kept you a little longer than I meant to, but I appreciate you taking time. And we always end up, because we have a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs that listen to the podcast, and we always try to give them a best bottom line business tip at the end. And what you've just described, even though there's multiples, is a great tip on how to operate your business regardless of what kind it is or what size it is. And is there any particular thing you want to pick out as like that business tip, or do you want to leave it with those?
Well, it's no surprise I'm a big believer in association. Mm-hmm. And what's helpful to me is being part of a group, being able to bounce ideas off others. So I see successful business people that are involved in their local community, in their chambers and Rotary and Kiwanis and other, just or whatever industry trade mm-hmm. that they're part of. For example, the PIA that you're involved in, the professional insurance agents, or whether it's insurers, for mm-hmm. insurance agents. Yeah, we don't try to reinvent the wheel. There's no reason to.
Exactly.
You don't have all we don't have all the best ideas. Let's, ask around.
Yes.
Don't be a lone ranger.
And I always say, let's rub elbows with someone that knows a little more than I do,
Absolutely. I always do that. That's why I talk to you so much.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, we, on that light note, we're gonna wrap up today's podcast. Thank you, Wes, with Farmers Mutual, for being a good guest and giving some time of yourself. I really appreciate it. And I know it'll be helpful to other people as they listen, get to know you a little better, and pick up some ideas about operating their business on a higher level. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And we will see you in the near future. I know you've got an annual coming up here in March. I'm not sure I'm going to be there, but some of my people are and glean information and help from that. So thanks for all you do for the agents.
My pleasure. Thank you. Our pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. Take care, Mr. Wes.
Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap for today's Business Bottom Line podcast. Take that tip and make your bottom line turn from red to black. Next week, we'll have another special guest, so we'll see you next time right here in the Jewel City of the Mountains, Greenville, Tennessee. This is the Stash saying we're here to inspire, inform, and improve your bottom line so you can grow, grow, and grow. Community Insurance offers tailored protection for you, your family, and your business. We offer a personal touch in a digital world. Our client app on your phone puts us in the palm of your hand for communications on your schedule. Online, at home, or at your business, we deliver a tailored protection solution on your terms that fits your needs right now. You don't need another agent when you have a trusted advisor on the Great CI team.